What's up, YouTube? You're watching Faith by Flight. My name is Cole. Welcome to another video in the series where I talk about becoming a naval aviator. Recently, I finished up contacts, and I finished ground school quite a bit ago. Can't remember exactly how long ago it was. Everything's been kind of a blur up to this point. So I'm going to go over ground school and what all I did in contact for as much as I can tell you, and we'll move along from there. So, ground school. Main things with that, you're just going to need to study a lot. It's a lot like API, where you go in, they give you material to study, you go study it, you review it, and then you go take a test on it. Super simple. You're going to be learning about systems. You're going to be the oil, hydraulic, fuel, and electrical systems. So make sure you can be an electron or a drop of fluid in either of those systems and run through it all. If you can do that a couple times over in your head, you will be completely fine. Course rules, it's just standard VFR routes out to whatever practice area you're going to. So whether it be a MOA, an alert area, or some other spot, I don't know what Milton has that might be different than us, but basically gets you to a spot where you can go do your training and back. Super simple on that as well. There's just a lot of numbers to memorize, headings, altitudes, and airspeeds. So just pay attention to those. Make sure you know all the departures and all the arrivals that you know that you're going to be using. And you'll know what you're going to be using once you get here, I promise. And then just procedures and standard operating procedures. So procedures being your maneuvers, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, and the standard operating procedures being squadron-specific rules that are in place. So you'll be able to find those in the squadron SOP, which will be given to you, and also in the NATOPS for the T6. What to study? As soon as you get to Milton or Corpus, I would advise studying your EPs and limits right off the bat. Your EPs need to be verbatim, step-by-step verbatim on those. You can be given an EP and limits quiz at any time. You're expected to write down all the EPs verbatim and all the numbers for the limits just right off the top of your head. So make sure you know all of those and make sure you're practicing those every now and then just so you keep those straight. And WC is just your notes, warnings, and cautions. Know the difference between your notes, warnings, and cautions. And as of right now, we just need a working knowledge of them for all of our mandatory EPs. So like for engine failure during flight, we need to know all the steps required for it and the notes, warnings, and cautions associated. So make sure you get all those down. Don't need to be verbatim on the notes, warnings, and cautions. Just need to know how they apply and what to do with them. Your NATOPS brief is a 10 to 12 minute brief, just reading it. So I would advise reading through the entire brief a couple times and then start memorizing each of the portions that you're required to memorize. So there's going to be paragraphs with quotations around them. Those need to be memorized verbatim. And then the training rules, which you'll find out about later, can just be read off. And then once you complete a block in contacts, for us right now, they have it to where we can just say standard for some of the items in there because some of them remain the same all the time. So there's no need to brief them any different. Your FTIs, your flight training instruction for contacts, basically all that is a bunch of numbers, power settings, and pitch attitudes in order to allow you to do the maneuvers appropriately. So make sure you know all the procedures cold. That way, whenever you show up for your first couple sims where you actually have to do maneuvers, you can go there and impress the crap out of the instructors that are in there and hopefully get some 4s and 5s out of it. And then the NATOPS manual. NATOPS manual is going to have all your systems information in there as well as little tidbits about the plane that aren't necessarily covered in ground school. I would advise reading through that about 2 or 3 times right off the bat. And then after you do that, go back through it maybe once a week, just so that you keep yourself refreshed. I've found stuff in there each time I read through it that I didn't remember from the last time. So super good to do. And that brings us over to contacts. So contacts, those of you that finished FTI or those of you that have your private pilot's license, it's just basic VFR training. You're going to learn how to fly the airplane, operate the airplane, and just be super proficient in that airplane. So T6 is what we're flying right now, Bravo variant. Super awesome plane, 1100 shaft horsepower. It's very different from the rinky-dink Pipers or 172s you're used to flying at this point. So it can be a lot to handle for some people. So things that'll help you with that is knowing your EPs and limits and also knowing all your procedures cold. So that includes your checklists, knowing how to run through those efficiently, and then just knowing general procedures, course rules, and then maneuvers, getting to the block, doing the maneuvers, and then flying out of the block, getting to a landing spot, and then coming back to the airport. That's really gonna help you out if you can get all those things streamlined. So the way it works out, you'll do a couple sims. First couple sims are just checklist sims, making sure you know how to operate the checklist, and then you'll have a couple EP sims where you'll go through a bunch of emergency procedures. They'll just throw them at you. You're gonna have a terrible day in the airplane. You just gotta like figure out what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and how to operate the airplane in stressful circumstances. So lots of fun. If you can go in there and knock those out, get some 4s and 5s on those, you're gonna be looking really good going forward. Once you get done with the sims, you're gonna go into flights with your on-wing. Your on-wing is gonna be your like main instructor you're going to work with throughout contacts. You're going to be with them for 4 flights, and then they're going to kick you out to do a couple sims, and then the sims you're going to kick you out to off-wing flights, which are going to be other instructors in the wing that you're in, and you're going to go fly with them, learn differently from them, and then you're going to culminate all of your experiences into one on your check ride. Go out, course rules, fly your maneuvers, go do some landings, do some emergency procedures, then you're going to come back to the airport, land, hopefully get a nice POB and a you passed, and then you're going to go do your solo like 30-40 minutes after. Or if you met crew day, then you're going to go do it the next day. After you finish that, you're going to get kicked out, do some PAs, which is aerobatics. Those of you that are airsick, I would advise having a Ziploc or 2, and the Ziplocs being the gallon-size Ziploc with the zip ring top on them, and put a couple paper towels inside of them so it soaks up moisture. Keep one of them in between your vest and your flight suit, and then one of them just in another pocket on your G suit. That way you have enough bags to go around for either you and the instructor, or just you, depending on how airsick you get. I didn't get airsick at all while I was flying. I didn't need to use my bag, but I always have one on me just in case. So those of you that know you get airsick, or if you don't know you get airsick and you start getting airsick, that way it's there for you. And you're not making a mess all over the plane, because that's just gross. So PAs are a lot of fun. You go out and do a bunch of flips, barrel rolls, aileron rolls, loops, do like 2 clover leaves throughout the entire time. And then from there you move on, do like 3 or 4 flights of that, and then you do your check. And then after you do your check, you do a solo, and that's pretty much it. Solos can get kind of boring, so don't do anything stupid. Just sit there and burn holes in the sky if you get bored. Just do laps. Like what I did for one of mine was basically just timed how long it took me to go around the entire block. It was about 15 minutes in area 1 low at 150 knots. So just waste time as much as you can. Solos are just meant to get you up in the air and basically give yourself a nice pat on the back saying, hey, I know how to fly this plane now. And you're basically just proving it to yourself. So get out there, have fun with it. But throughout all the contacts, you're still going to need to study probably 6 to 8 hours a day. If you don't have all the material ready for the next 2 to 3 blocks, you need to be studying, getting those items ready, because they can double pump you some days. I got double pumped on all of my PAs and on 2 sets of sims. So be ready to do 2 blocks any given day, just so that you're not caught off guard. If you have any more questions, I don't really know what else to add at this point. Just throw them down in the comments. I'll answer as much as I can. This video is pretty late coming out, so on the next one, for instrument side of things, I'll try to get it out a little bit sooner. That way I'm a little bit more fresh on the stuff. But as far as ground school and contacts, there's really not a lot going on. It's just your basic introduction to the airplane. Instruments is going to be a little bit more head work, from what I'm seeing right now anyway. Instrument ground school is kind of a drag. So, mentally prepare yourself now if you haven't gotten there yet. It's just kind of slow and boring. Just a lot of procedures and regulations so far. But I'll get to that in another video. If you liked it, comment, like, subscribe, all the general stuff that every other YouTuber's saying. And I'll see you in the next one.